guys, and welcome to a new episode. It's just me today because we're going to be talking about the money. You might have seen episode 2. If you haven't, the link is here. So episode 2, we talked about budget and building the budget and planning for it. So a big part of planning for our lap of Australia was actually planning the financials and making sure that we could afford what we were wanting to do. We did a lot of research at the time and found loads of YouTube videos telling us what to think about and to bear in mind when building the budget, but there weren't too many videos of people saying, okay, this is what we spent and this is what we've spent it on. So we thought we'd pull together a bit of a video, warts and all, first 3 months, how much have we spent doing a lap? So far, we have done Melbourne to Esperance within that first 3 months, and we've been all over the place. We've been off to Kangaroo Island, up to the Flinders Ranges. If you've been watching our episodes, you'll know how far we've gone all over the place. In terms of the money, we were up until leaving, we were working really hard. And so the first couple of months felt a bit like a holiday to us, and we treated it like that. And we've been travelling really quite comfortably. We haven't really been keeping an eye on the budget at all. We've been staying where we want to stay, going out where we want to go, eating out, doing all the activities that we want. And we're now kind of getting the hang of this lap life, and it's starting to feel like normal life as opposed to a holiday for us. So it's a really good time to sort of review over the last 3 months how much have we really been spending. Now, in terms of spending, I suppose the first big bucket of money or costs is fuel. So for fuel, there are 3 variables: what price you buy your fuel at, how many kilometres you're doing, and how fuel efficient is your car, so how much fuel is it using. So looking at our budget, when we built it, we assumed $1.40 average price per litre that we could buy it at. So far we've come in at $1.41, so that's pretty good considering that the prices across the Nullarbor were $1.90 and $1.95, and that was a chunk of our trip so far. Some tips and tricks in terms of fuel prices. Use the Fuel Map Australia app. It's really good. You can use and also contribute prices because it's a crowdsourced app. We found it to be really accurate for diesel so far, and you can use that to find the cheapest prices in the area and always go to the cheapest. It does, because fuel's such a significant cost in the trip, it actually does make a decent difference. The other tip is to use other fuel discounts. So use supermarket dockets, the 4 cents off docket deals. And we're members of the Good Day Parks, and if you'd gone to the Good Day Parks app, you can actually get 4 cents off at Coles Express. And we've just been told that you can sort of stack those. So if you have your Coles docket, which gives you 4 cents off, you can then use the Good Day app as well and get another 4 cents off, which gives you 8 cents. So considering how much fuel you're using and how it's such a significant cost, it's really worth finding those savings where you can. So secondly, in terms of how many kilometres you drive, we've done quite a few more kilometres than we thought and budgeted for. So that's because we have found that we do unhitch a lot. We'll pull up at a caravan park, leave the caravan, and then we go off exploring the area, and it may be an hour, 2 hours drive from where we're actually parked. So as a result, we budgeted 2,500 kilometres a month, but we're actually doing around 3,200 kilometres a month. So a fair bit more than we thought we'd do. And then finally, how fuel efficient you are. So our fuel efficiency is better than we budgeted. So we assumed 17 litres per 100 kilometres, and we look to be averaging around 14 litres per 100 kilometres. And part of the reason of that is precisely because what we said in the previous point, we are doing a lot of driving, not towing the caravan, which is really pulling down that average. We have seen, though, when we do the big 4-wheel drives, that uses a fair bit of fuel. And in terms of tips around fuel efficiency, lighter is better. If you're going from a caravan park to a caravan park and you don't need full water tanks, don't fill your water tanks, because if you've got 2 95-litre water tanks, that's nearly 200 kilos that you wouldn't need to be pulling around. So that's just try and keep it light. So for fuel, in summary, overall in that first 3 months, we've spent $2,066. So that was $281 higher than budget, which is about 15% more than we budgeted. And that is primarily because we've done a lot more kilometres than we planned. Next, there's accommodation. That's another big chunk. So although we have our home on wheels, we still have to pay for where we're parking it. So in the budget, we said we'd stay in caravan parks 50% of the time, low-cost camping 30% of the time, and then free camping 20% of the time. That hasn't quite happened. What we've actually done is we've stayed in caravan parks 80% of the time, low-cost camping 5%, and free camping 15%. So that's worked out as more expensive. Within that 80% of caravan parks, that also includes roadhouses, because we did quite a lot of roadhouses when we were doing the Nullarbor as well. So if we have a look at what we've assumed the costs were, we assumed that the caravan parks will cost on average $40 a night, and that looks pretty accurate. We assume that low-cost camping would be $20 a night, but we're actually finding that's more like $10. And then free camping, I've also included the donation places. So that's the donation ones are $5 a night. So that probably averages out at $1, $2 a night. So that's fine. But as a result of staying at more caravan parks, we have gone $381 over budget and spent $2,681 on accommodation. When I look at going forward, we've actually booked a fair few things going forward, and I think that this ratio will probably continue for the foreseeable future, because we've booked a lot of the WA coast because we're travelling up there in school holidays, and we don't want to risk getting stuck, not being able to stay anywhere. So we'll probably just update the budget going forward accordingly. And the other big cost, which for us is the biggest of all costs, is food. We've certainly supported a lot of local businesses in the first 3 months as we've been travelling around, and we have gone a fair bit over budget, but we know why. We've been eating out and enjoying ourselves, and as I mentioned before, we've just been treating this as a holiday and going out to eat probably a little bit too much based on how tight our jeans now are. It's just that, the challenge is we're really enjoying seeing so much of the country, and there are some great little eateries that we pass and we just want to go and try them out and see what the places are like and get a feel for wherever we're visiting. So because of eating out, we're actually under budget on our grocery spend. So we have budgeted $800 a month, which equates to $2,400 for the first 3 months. And we have spent $2,252 on groceries. So we've come in at $148 less. When we look at how that's split by month, we actually were quite a bit under March, quite a bit under in April, and actually went over in May. And that's because May sort of covered the Nullarbor and very regional areas where we were probably paying quite a bit more for our groceries than we would in areas that have the major supermarkets. But that's fine. Then we've broken it into groceries, eating out. So eating out was a bit of a big one for us. So we budgeted $300 a month, so $900 in the first 3 months. So we did that. That equates to $10 a day for eating out. We actually spent $1,123 in the first 3 months. So that meant we went $223 over budget for that. Then on top of eating out, we've then classified other food and drink. So that's like takeaway or snacks and any drink that we get, so any booze. And we also went over on that. Probably had a little bit more booze than we planned initially as well. So we budgeted $900 again for the first 3 months, so $10 a day budget, and we have spent $1,285 on that in the first 3 months. So that's $385 over budget. So it's a fly. So overall, our food spend, so groceries, eating out, and other food and drink, that's come to $4,660. So our biggest cost group in the first 3 months. And we went over by $460 across all the food. But we've certainly enjoyed it as we've gone around. On top of those basics, your food, your accommodation, and your fuel, there are also some other things that make your trip what it is. And one example of those is the activities you do. So there are plenty of free activities you can do, but there are also some pretty pricey ones. And we've done a few of both. So we budgeted $500 a month for paid activities. And March and April, we didn't come anywhere near that. That was fine. May's been quite an expensive month for us in terms of activities. Chris did 2 shark cage dives. Chris and I also did the swimming with seals and dolphins, so some really quite high cost activities. We also did the sky track around the Flinders Ranges and a few other things too. As a result of that, in terms of activities, we've spent $2,303 versus $1,500 budget. So we've actually gone over $803, but May for us, that's not going to be a typical month, so it's an exception, and so we think that'll average out, so that's fine. Then there are a couple of other basic ones like our car costs, our caravan costs. We're broadly in line with those. We budgeted $100 a month for our car costs, so to cover our insurance and anything else that might come up. Because we got a new car, we don't have any registration to pay just at the moment, so that's not relevant. For caravan costs, we budgeted $200 a month, and that covers the insurance and any other costs as well. So one thing to remember if you have a caravan and you've, say, bought it from new is, again, going for a service. So we've just had the caravan in or when we were in Adelaide, we had the caravan in for its first service, which cost $400. So remember to take into account those kind of one-off costs. Really important. And then on top of that, we've just grouped another bunch of costs as unplanned cost or other costs. For us, they've included all of the fridge magnets that we've got. I think we're up to 40 fridge magnets now, and they've cost probably about $5 each on average. What else have we got? Just things, Chris has had his hair cut, or the gas refills for the tank, or we got this awesome corkboard Australia map which we found in Port Lincoln, which we really loved, and got some map pins, and so just those kind of bits and pieces as you're travelling around. Adding all of those travel costs together, that means in total we spent $14,000 in the first 3 months, which is about $1,800 over budget. So whereas the budget was $1,000 a week, we've come in at $1,180 a week, which we're fine with. We've been travelling really comfortably, eating out probably a little bit too much, and we've had a few big ticket items in terms of activities. So how much we've spent, you can absolutely do it cheaper than what we've done. In fact, I'm quite pleased with how accurate the budget's been, considering we built it before our trip even started. Speaking of our budget spreadsheet, you can download that from our website at staycationoz.com.au completely free of charge. I hope it'll be of some use to you if you are building a budget for your lap of Australia. Otherwise, if you've got any questions, do give us a shout, put comments, we'll try and answer all comments and questions. And if you do have any tips of your own, feel free to add those to the comments as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time.